Dito pa si Antipolo. Hello! Welcome to our channel and expat family. We are the Coach Angel. The question is like, should we move back in the Philippines? Like, we're already thinking about moving in the Philippines. Like, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? You know, what are the pros and cons for our children? How they will react because they're already on the age that they can understand, you know, like they already built a life here in the USA. So have you ever reached the point in your life that you suddenly ask yourself, pa rin ba dito talaga dito sa USA, or after 15 years of living here in the USA, is it good idea to move back in the Philippines, you know, because you already you've already worked here, you have like, this is your life now. You build your home here, you build your family here in the USA. You know, we have gone through the struggles, you know, like you already, the homesickness, that's the first thing, like you already experienced all these things. So you have homesick, and then the snow, you survive on the snow, you know, like, and then one day you just think you want to go back in the Philippines. Like, are you ready to go back in there? Do you, like, you want to try something different? After all, we're just gonna live once, and then you're just started thinking, after building your life here with your family, you're just started thinking, what if umuwi ka na lang sa Pilipinas? And honestly, it's easy to say, but it's so hard to do it. Like, we are on that point that we are thinking of moving, but we have so many questions. Honestly, it's so hard. It's so hard to do it, you know. Because going back home sounds good. It sounds so beautiful. Like, when you're thinking about it from America, imagine waking up in the morning with warm weather, you know, although it's hot here right now, it's freaking humid where right now, actually, it's right now, where while I'm sitting here, it's 84 degrees out, but it's like it's 95 or like that because it's humid, like it's sticky. Anyway, imagine waking up in the morning, you're eating your favorite Filipino breakfast, you know, seeing your relatives, and then hanging out with your friends, going to the market, fresh food, fresh fish, fresh veggies. Anyway, so imagine riding a jeepney, tricycle, you know, I miss those good times. Having someone say, "Oy, ang tagal mo nang hindi umuwi ah." Yung mga ganun ba, no? And of course, walang snow, you know, like, actually, yeah, you're gonna miss the snow. Maybe that's already a major selling point. Like, we only have two weather. We have rainy season and hot. Where I live, we have four seasons. So we're gonna miss the four season, like summer, and then it's gonna be fall. It started to get cold, not too cold. It's like it's so perfect, and then here comes the winter. It's freezing cold that you don't want to go outside, and then the road is very slick, and then here comes the spring. That's perfect. All the flowers are blooming, leaves are blooming, you know. So that's the another good thing. But in the Philippines, like, you wake up, it's already hot. So anyway, that's a very high maintenance. Hindi yun ang reason para hindi na umuwi dahil mainit sa Pilipinas. There's reason na umuwi sa Pilipinas. There's a reason na umuwi rito, na mag-stay rito sa USA. In the USA, you have 4 seasons. In the Philippines, you have 2 seasons. So that's one of the major selling point. Pero wait lang. Before you pack your balikbayan boxes, when you already think about all these things that, alright, let's go move in the Philippines, then there's so many things that you need to think about. Because moving back in the Philippines after spending your life here in America is not simply a vacation. It's starting another chapter of your life. It's not only you, it's not only me, and it's all, like, it's my family. Like, they're gonna need to start over. And today, let's talk about it step by step. You know, the good things, the bad things, the things we miss, the things we might regret, and the biggest question of all is it really worth it to move back after spending so many years in America? That's a question. That's a bigger question. Let's start with the dream, because there's a lot of Filipinos living abroad that they're the idea of going home never really disappear, honestly, right? If you've been here decades here in America, some part of you, still part of me, is still thinking about the Philippines. Whether we like it or not, maybe it's the food, maybe it's your family, maybe your childhood memories, or maybe the simpler life that we're used to, or maybe you're just tired of working here, or tired of rushing, tired of everything being scheduled. I don't really want to make it sounds the life here in America is really bad, but it's like work, home, bills, appointments, work again, school of the children, games, like, and sometimes you ask yourself, is this really what you want to do for the rest of your life? So that's the big one of the big question as well. Then that's when the idea in the Philippines that starts sounding attractive, like the retirement, like, and then you imagine yourself outside, just sitting in the porch at your house, drinking coffee, maybe eating pandesal, um, going to the wet market early morning and buying some suman, that's like all those sweet stuff, fresh pandesal, and having lunch with your family, and you're thinking, is this the life that you really want? And honestly, it sounds wonderful. But here's the first thing we need to remember, that we're imagining the Philippines from the perspective of someone living in America. And that's very different from actually living there, right? It's one of probably the biggest thing that people don't really think about when we say, I want to go home. Or what exactly are we going home to? Are we going back to the Philippines that exists today, or are we going back to the Philippines that exists in our memories? Because those two things are very different. Maybe we left when we're young, or you remember your old neighborhood, you remember riding your bicycle, or you remember your cousin, you remember going to your grandmother's house, your auntie's house, you remember their sari store. I remember that. You remember eating street food with your friends after school, but those decades have passed. Will change, places have changed, your hometown have changed a lot for me. Most importantly, I have changed. You have changed. I have changed, and you have changed as well. My hometown have changed, and most importantly, you live in America for how many years, and you develop American habits. And I'm not gonna lie, after living here for almost 15 years, I do have an American habit already. I'm probably used to it, with easy access of stuff. You become accustomed to certain convenience. You may have become used to privacy. You may be used driving everywhere. You may be used to a certain standard of a customer service. So you may have used how things work here in America. And then when you return, you might discover that the Philippines you remember isn't exactly the Philippines you're coming home to. That the Philippines that you remember isn't exactly the Philippines you're coming back. And that's okay. That's okay. But we have to prepare for it. So now let's talk about the biggest reason why many Filipino family wants to go home. Like, let's say, like me, you know, the number one is family. For some people, this is everything. Maybe your parents are getting older, maybe you have your brothers and sister are still there, and then you have nieces and nephew that you can only see them through video call, pictures, Facebook. I feel like right now it's more easy compare before. Like, it's hard, to communicate with them. But I feel like nowadays it's just easy. There's so many, a lot of apps now that you can communicate with them. So anyway, and then but you miss, maybe because you're missing their birthdays, the special occasion of your nieces and nephews, that you don't get to spend, to that, even though you want to spend time with them, you want to experience it with them, like you want to be there for them, you can't because you're so far away. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you're wanting to go back in the Philippines. Especially the number one as well is holidays, Christmas, their graduation, family gatherings, and then you starting to realize you can earn money again, but you can't go back to the time, but you can't, but the time you can't buy that. And maybe this is one of the reasons I'm thinking about going home. And it's like you want to be there for them, not just watching them through Facebook, not just calling them through Messenger, or not just saying next year I'm going home, because the next year's becomes 3 years, 5 years, and then 10 years, and then suddenly you realize you miss a lot. For some people, going home isn't about saving money, it's about being present. Another major reason consider moving back in the Philippines is the cost of living. Anyway, depending on your lifestyle, where you live, your money might stretch differently living in the Philippines than here in the USA. Your housing, food, transportation, and sometimes service that can feel more affordable. Actually, if you already saved enough money and you have a retirement income, the Philippines can look very, very attractive, right? Imagine having a comfortable life now, and maybe nakatira ka sa farm tapos maraming mga puno, mango tree. I miss that. Let's be honest, living in America can be very expensive because you have mortgage, property tax, insurance, car payments, utilities, groceries, healthcare, sports for the children. They actually add up. So you start thinking maybe retirement money can give me a better lifestyle back home. But there's big but, right? There's big but. Bubble butt. Just kidding. So there's a big but, and we'll get to that. The feeling of home. Let's be honest. Filipino food tastes different when you're actually in the Philippines, right? Tell me I'm wrong, come on. Or tell me I'm right. I think I'm right on this one. You can find Filipino food restaurant in America. You can buy Filipino groceries. You can cook adobo, you can make sinigang, you can make pancit. You just want the real thing. Sometimes you just want to smell yung gusto mo lang maamoy yun. May nagluluto ng almusal para sa iyo. Yung ganun, yung breakfast cooking, yung mga ang tawag doon, nakalimutan ko na, yung tocino, yung mga ganon. Tapos fresh mangoes, hanggang yung ngipin mo, anong tawag dito, you'll eat mango until your teeth will be like sensitive na it's hard to eat the mangoes anymore because you eat too much. And then yung mga fresh seafood, I miss that. Fresh seafood, street food, in Angeles City where I grew up, we have like literally a lot of street food. We're gonna skip classes and then we're gonna go in the back of Holy Angel, and then we're just gonna eat some yung mga street foods. Syempre, yun ang nakakamiss. Jollibee, of course, yung mga local markets natin. And then, of course, one of the reason as well is like you're surrounded with the people that you understand, that they understand your joke, without needing an explanation. So, especially, you know what I mean? Like, they get you. Like, they get it. Your mom jokes. Your kapampangan jokes, like, but here, like, you need to explain them sometimes, your Filipino joke. Anyway, because culture isn't just a food, it's a language, it's the culture, it's your family, it's the way you interact with people, it's hearing Tagalog everywhere, and sometimes hearing kapampangan, after spending years speaking English, you realize how comforting it feels to speak your own language all day, like Kapampangan, like talking Kapampangan with your friends, and just having fun and cracks jokes. Let's be honest, those are the positive thoughts that comes in my mind when moving in the Philippines. But ako rin maging honest sa sarili ko. Ang dali-daling sabihin lahat ng mga positive pag uuwi ka na sa Pilipinas, but meron din negative. But seriously, pag kino-consider nyo na talagang umuwi sa Pilipinas kasama ng family ko, kailangan ko pa rin talagang isipin yung mga difficult parts. And this is where many people get surprised. Sometimes the consequences, you may not feel like you belong anymore. Like, this one can be emotional. Yun, uwi ka na sa Pilipinas, pero sasabihin mo, I'm home, I'm finally home. But after a few months, you realize you don't exactly feel the same anymore. We need to think about maybe our friends already have families, and then maybe our other friends, they already moved to another city. So maybe some people you grow up with are gone. So maybe your old neighborhood isn't the same anymore. Maybe the people that you remember aren't there anymore. And you may discover something strange. In America, you sometimes feel like a Filipino. In the Philippines, you might sometimes feel like an American. So you're caught somewhere in between. That's something many immigrants experience. You're home, but you're also different. When we're young, we don't really think about healthcare. But when you're approaching of that age, iniisip mo na, oh, yun, healthcare, importante din pala yun. Tapos, pag may kids ka din, iniisip mo din yun, healthcare, syempre para sa kanila din. So, iniisip mo, paano na pag kailangan mo ng surgery, paano na pag kailangan mo ng regular na medication, paano na pag may emergency, di ba? Tapos yung, ano bang klaseng insurance yung pwede mong kuhanin pag nakatira ka na sa Pilipinas? Yun, magkano ba yun? Yung mga ganun bang question? Ano ba yung willing mong bayaran? Yung mga ganun bang question na hindi mo na ma-ignore. But kasi nung bata-bata pa lang tayo, sinasabi, bahala na, life goes on. Yun ang motto ko before, life goes on, bahala na. Pero pag dumadating na tayo sa mga, siguro pag darating na ako sa age ng mga 60, 70, isipin ko na din yun, no? Pero, but if iniisip mo nang natitira ka doon na permanently, syempre, healthcare, it's really part of the plan siya, yung healthcare natin. So another one is, maraming mga Pilipino living abroad, kahit it's hard to say this, but yung mga family expectations, di ba? May mga family tayo sa Pilipinas, syempre after living in America, isipin mo ano yung mga ibang expectation ng mga family mo, kasi when you live in America for so many years, some people assume na meron kang pera, di ba? So sometimes that can create expectations. So ikaw, sasabihin nila, ikaw kasi nasa Amerika, baka pwede naman makahiram, hindi mo naman maaalis yun, di ba? Di ba, meron ka naman sigurong excess, yung mga ganun ba? Tapos, if you just have enough savings, and then you have your own family that you're raising as well, or maybe you have the retirement that you've been saving for the rest of your life, So, it's hard. You can't you can't solve everybody's financial problem. You can solve everybody's financial problem, right? So saying no is extremely difficult. So you can love your family without becoming financially responsible for everyone, right? So so let's talk about something that Filipinos already knows, right? Yung power interruptions. Dito kasi, so we've been living in this house for, let's say, 12 years, 13 years. 13 years siguro, mga ilang beses pa lang kami nawalan ng kuryente. Siguro mga 3, 5, mga ganon, 'di ba? It doesn't really happen yun. Ka na sa driving dito sa America, 'di ba? Yun, you get used to the traffic lights, you get used to the certain roads, and then you go back to the Philippines. And suddenly, you're sitting in the traffic wondering, Paano ka ba makakapag-survive nito? 'Di ba? Isipin mo na lang malapit lang naman. Tapos mga 30 minutes na nasa traffic ka pa din, same spot.
3 days later.
Nasa traffic ka pa din, o 'di ba? And then syempre traffic, hindi lang naman yung traffic yung issue. I feel like I'll be okay with that, you know. Kasi sanay naman na ako doon sa traffic doon sa Pilipinas. So parang for me that's not an issue. I drove in the Philippines. Pag nagbabakasyon ako yung nagda-drive doon. So parang para sa akin hindi issue yun, pero syempre sa iba issue sa kanila yon, 'di ba? Tapos isa pa sa mga problema sa Pilipinas is yung internet problems, kasi nawawalan ng internet. Syempre mawalan ka ng power, wala kang internet. So, ayun, tapos yung government pag kukuha ka ng mga IDs, ay nako, government paperwork, ay nako, yung different customer service na experience mo na dito sa USA, 'di ba? Yun, you are already custom here, 'di ba? So if you've been living in America for how many years, maybe you're already thinking about going home. Maybe you're just beginning to think about, or maybe you're already planning, you know, or maybe you're completely already staying. Whatever is your situation is, I love to hear your story. And would you move back in the Philippines after living in America? You know, if you will, what is the biggest reason? What is the biggest reason? The family, cost of living, retirement, slower lifestyle, or simply because you miss home? So if you wouldn't, what's stopping you? So your children, your healthcare, financial security, and you're already comfortable in America. Or maybe you realize that America become your home too. Because that's the thing, but that's the thing about being immigrant. You don't have just one home. You know, you have the memories in one country and life in another. And maybe the real question isn't where do I belong? Maybe the real question is where can I build the life I want for the years I have left? If you're thinking about moving back, don't rush. Think about money, think about the healthcare, think about your family, think about your lifestyle, and most importantly, think about what will make you happy and at peace. We have to ask ourselves, when is the final time to enjoy the life we work so hard to build? Maybe the life is in America, maybe it's in the Philippines, maybe it's somewhere in between, but wherever it is, I hope you find it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with someone who also thinking about moving back home, you know. And please leave a comment below. I really want to know your story. Would you go back or would you stay? Let's talk about it. See you on the next video, and take care always, and see you on my next video. Thank you. Bye.